Okay, all right. Morning. How we doing?
Good morning.
Good. Thank you.
Just what you liked in him and maybe how you hope he kind of fits into the mix on defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think, another guy obviously has some good experience that we could bring in, has been pretty productive in the NFL in a couple different places and has some versatility to him. So, it'd be a good opportunity for us to just take a look and see how that fits us.
With the Ayers and Harold acquisition in a week period, does that say something about the concern you had about the performance you've had up front through before those acquisitions?
Well, I mean, I think we're always going to, try to take a look at as many guys as possible that we can to bring into the roster and make it competitive and always continually try to improve it. So when those opportunities arise, sometimes they just they come up and you look at it, evaluate it and say, okay, hey, you know what, that would help us, or we think that would be good competition for us to have and evaluate and try to do it in a manner where I think maybe I'd mentioned before, where we have time to actually look at it in practice with pads on, as opposed to just trying to do it during like a game week or something like that.
Do you think that you have enough? Would you feel like you have enough right now to get a sustainable pass rush?
Enough pass rush?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think pass rush is going to be determined by a bunch of different things. I mean, it's more than just third down. There's early down pass rush. There's players. There's scheme. There's certainly different ways that you can attack people, and I would say that we also have some guys that have the ability to do that. So we're continually trying to scheme that up and move it around and take a look at guys in different positions. And certainly, with the pass rush, there's a whole marriage of rush and coverage that's critically important, So they all tie together. It's kind of the part of the team concept of defense. And sometimes the coverage is going to make up for the rush, and sometimes the rush makes up for the coverage. And that's a good thing to have that. And ideally, you'd like to be balanced with both.
What do you look for in a fourth preseason game? What do you think out of him?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for these guys to go compete, and again, it's another opportunity for us to take this week on a short week, which is a little bit different than what we had to do last week, a short week to prepare. So a lot of the game plan is condensed, maybe it's first, second, and third down on one day, red area on the next day, as opposed to trying to space it out over 3 days of installation and learning, which is good because that's going to happen to us during the course of the season, especially early in the season, as we go through the first month. So it's another good opportunity from a holistic team standpoint to understand what that schedule would look like. And then certainly the on-the-field performance, I would say, again, from the standpoint of scheme, for the most part, we try to just keep it pretty basic to where we can go out and evaluate the guys that are on the field. I think it's a great opportunity for some of those guys that maybe haven't had a lot of play time to maybe mix it up and get some play time there too, which is positive for those guys. And for us to have one more chance to see some guys maybe in some different positions that we haven't been able to get them into so far during training camp at a competitive level.
Coach, in terms of guys trying to make the roster, you talk about body of work, the whole offseason and this, but really this is the ultimate, in some ways, job interview for him too, a big moment. How do you factor that in, rising to the big moment too?
Yeah, there's no doubt that, even with all the evaluation that we do through the spring and through practice and even practicing against other teams, for some of these guys, we're trying to see what it looks like in actual game atmosphere. What does it look like when the lights come on, where there is a little bit of a pressure of that other opponent, the, winning and losing and the aspect of performing under pressure and all that stuff. So it does give it another element of competition. It gives another element of evaluation, which I think is critical for all those guys.
Has your philosophy towards sort of building a defensive roster had to shift at all over the years as offenses have sort of spread the field a lot more? Yeah,
I would say when I was at New England before, originally in the league, prevalent was regular defense or 3-4 obviously at the time, because there was just a lot more offensive schemes that had bigger personnel out on the field, 2 backs, 2 tight ends, maybe 3 tight ends, a back. So the game has definitely, changed from that aspect. I would say probably right around, call it the late 2000s to the early 2010-11 seasons. So I think some of that has changed a little bit, and then therefore the guys that you keep on your roster are maybe a little bit different now than they were, say, in the early 2000s. So you definitely have to adjust with that. Unfortunately, when you're on defense, most of the times it's driven by the offense, and their personnel and what they have out there. There are certain situations, though, where you feel comfortable with those other packages against those offensive schemes, and you can leave them out there. So just really trying to find the best players, I think, at that point, try to really evaluate who's the guys that can help you win the most. And then once you do that, then hopefully try to put them in the right position, and try to be flexible from that standpoint. That's okay.
I'm just curious, what's your message to the fan base after the first 3 preseason games? I think it's safe to say some of the fan base is wondering, well, freaking out a little bit.
Sure. I mean, again, I think our fans are. I think they totally understand that this is a hardworking team, and this is a hardworking area, and this is definitely something that is a process. You know, and we're going through that process right now. We're trying to evaluate the team. We're trying to put a good team together, and hopefully that whatever the team looks like now in preseason, it'll look better in September, and hopefully in September it'll look better. Or it'll look better in October than it did in September. So I think there is definitely a flow to this. I would say that is a little bit, normal. I would say, you can probably go back and check what the records were last year in preseason for some of the teams and see where they finished. So I think it's a process. I think that's what we're trying to figure out. And how long that process takes, I'm not going to put an answer on that because, we're trying to really just get the best guys we can for the long term to improve.
So you're not overly concerned yourself at the first.
Well, I mean, I think I'm concerned every day I walk in this building. I try to, make sure I do a good job here of coaching the team. That's my major concern, is to try to make sure that we're improving everybody that we have, from that standpoint. And like I said, the guys are working hard. They're trying to do the right thing, and they're getting better and they're learning. So that's the most important thing.
Here, it's difficult sometimes for us to assess because you're trying to get guys out there in situations, and you're not scheming for these games. So I just wondered, from your perspective, where your defense is at as it's learning a new scheme and installing that.
Sure.
How comfortable you feel with where they're at right now in their progress?
Yeah, I think from an overall scheme standpoint and the learning aspect, I'll say that I think these guys are doing a good job. I really do. I think there's some concepts here that they're grasping that are really good. I would say that maybe we haven't tried to apply them in certain situations yet, and that'll be the next phase as we move forward here. But just trying to get that foundation laid as far as the understanding of what we want to do. I think they're really trying to do a good job there, and then we got to improve it. We got to continually try to get the techniques down and the fits and the hand placement, the coverage, the leverage, all of that stuff that continually has to improve. But at least now when you have the conversation with those guys, say, hey, we should be this leverage in this position in this situation, there's an understanding of what we want and what I need to have, and it's now just getting it corrected from that standpoint.
There's been some pretty good rookie running backs that have had pretty big impacts in the NFL the last couple of years. I was wondering if you have a theory as to why A, and then B, maybe what that means with Carryon. He's obviously impressed so far this preseason.
Sure. I mean, the rookie running back situation, I would say, I can't really nail it down for you exactly why. I think each team is different, and the work that those guys have. I would say with a lot of rookie players, just let's say offensively, that you take a look at from that aspect. I would say early in the seasons that maybe there's some situations where they make some plays or there's some big playability, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, that then once that gets on tape at this level, and then some of the defenses start taking a look at it, then they'll account for it maybe a little bit better at that standpoint. So we're just trying to be consistent. I would say that's the biggest thing, and same thing for Carryon. It's just going to be just a steady improvement. Teams are obviously, going to look at everybody that's out on the field and try to defend all of those guys differently. So we just got to keep that consistency. That's the biggest thing for us right now.
Do you expect any? One guy's going to start on Thursday's Baker Mayfield. For whoever's out there for your defense, what kind of, evaluative, chance is that to see how they perform against the #1 pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, whoever lines up, obviously for them, the quarterback position is obviously always a challenge. It's good for those guys. I mean, he's obviously a very talented player. He's got a strong arm. He's very athletic. He's mobile, very confident, does a great job with ball security. I mean, his confidence in the pocket is it's pretty unbelievable for a guy that, is working with an offensive line that's completely new to him. It's not like he's had these guys for 4 years and he's, a senior in college and he understands them really well. So that's pretty impressive from that aspect of it. So it'll be a great challenge for us from that standpoint to try to see what we can do. But from that aspect of it, we got to play the entire team. It's more than just the quarterback. It's the offensive line. The wide receiver position obviously is very dangerous too. So the tight end position is good there. So they have enough weapons to give you a problem. Good. Appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you.